Effective communication is what turns confusion into understanding and distance into connection. It is not just the ability to talk, but the skill of expressing yourself clearly, listening deeply, and making other people feel respected and understood. Whether you realize it or not, the way you communicate shapes every area of your life, your career, your friendships, your family relationships, and even how you feel about yourself. Many people assume communication is something you either have or you don't, but in reality, it is a learnable skill that can be strengthened with awareness and practice. If you've ever felt misunderstood, struggled to say what you really think, or gone blank in an important conversation, you are not alone, and you are not stuck that way forever. Improving your communication is not about sounding fancy or using complicated language. It's about choosing the right words at the right time with the right attitude so that other people can truly understand you. It is also about learning to listen in a way that makes others feel safe and valued. When you become a better communicator, you gain more than smoother conversations. You gain confidence. You find it easier to speak up in meetings, set boundaries, give feedback, ask for what you need, and form deeper connections. You also start to understand people better because you pay more attention to their words, tone, and body language. The changes don't happen overnight, but small, consistent improvements add up. Every interaction becomes a chance to practice. The way you talk to a friend, how you answer a question at work, how you handle a disagreement, or how you introduce yourself to someone new. Over time, you realize communication is not a mysterious talent. It is a toolbox you can learn to use. This journey is about making that toolbox stronger so you can speak with clarity, listen with empathy, handle pressure with calm, and build the relationships and opportunities you truly want.
The words you choose do far more than fill silence. They shape how others see you and how you see yourself. Every time you speak, you are sending signals about your confidence, your attitude, and your respect for others. Some people naturally draw others in because they speak with clarity, warmth, and conviction. Others unintentionally push people away by sounding negative, confusing, harsh, or unsure. Think of the times someone's words have stayed with you, a teacher who encouraged you, a boss who believed in you, a friend who comforted you in a difficult moment. Those sentences became turning points because the right words said at the right time can inspire, guide, and heal. The opposite is also true. Careless, angry, or cruel words can leave emotional scars that last for years. Your language also creates your inner world. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not good at talking to people," or "I always mess up my words," you slowly start acting as if that is true. Negative self-talk limits your growth before you even try. When you change the way you talk about yourself, switching from "I can't" to "I'm learning" or "I'm improving," you open the door to new behavior. Your words affect your relationships as well. People naturally want to be around those who make them feel respected, appreciated, and understood. When you speak kindly, clearly, and thoughtfully, you build trust and closeness. When you complain constantly, criticize harshly, or talk in a confusing way, others may start avoiding serious conversations with you. In professional life, the impact is just as strong. Those who can express ideas confidently and clearly tend to be taken more seriously, chosen for leadership, and given more opportunities. None of this requires fancy vocabulary. A simple, well-structured sentence is often more powerful than a long, complicated one. Just as important as what you say is what you don't say. Words spoken in anger can damage relationships in seconds and can't be taken back, which is why thinking before you speak is such a valuable habit. Each conversation becomes a chance either to strengthen or weaken a connection. When you choose words that are honest but respectful, clear but considerate, you begin to use language as a tool for building the life and relationships you really want.
Most people believe they are good listeners, yet in reality, they only half listen while mentally preparing what they'll say next. This habit, listening to reply instead of listening to understand, makes conversations shallow and frustrating. True listening is an active skill. It means giving the other person your full attention, putting your phone down, making eye contact, and letting them finish without interrupting. It also means listening beyond the words, noticing their tone, facial expression, and body language. Someone may say, "I'm fine," but if their shoulders are slumped and their voice is flat, the real message is very different. When you listen with that level of presence, people feel respected, safe, and valued. Interrupting is one of the clearest signs that you're not truly listening. It sends the message, "What I want to say matters more than what you're saying." To break that pattern, practice waiting a beat after the other person finishes before responding. That small pause forces you to absorb their full message. Ask follow-up questions such as, "What happened next?" or "How did that make you feel?" to show genuine interest and invite deeper sharing. In emotionally charged conversations, the goal is often not to fix anything right away, but to make the other person feel heard. Many people rush to give advice, which can unintentionally make the speaker feel dismissed. Instead, reflect their feelings back. "That sounds really frustrating," or "I can understand why that hurt." This kind of empathy builds trust even when you don't agree with their point of view. The real test of listening comes during disagreements. It is tempting to tune out as soon as you hear something you don't like and to mentally build your counterargument. But listening is most important exactly then. When you truly understand the other person's reasons, fears, and needs, you are far more likely to find common ground, or at least disagree respectfully. Silence is part of listening as well. Many people fear pauses and rush to fill them, but a short silence often gives the other person space to think and share more honestly. Over time, as you practice listening with patience, curiosity, and empathy, you will notice your relationships grow deeper, your conflicts become easier to resolve, and people begin to see you as someone they can trust and confide in. Clarity is one of the most respected qualities in a speaker. When you can express your ideas in simple, direct language, people find it easier to follow you, remember you, and trust you. Many communication problems begin because someone starts talking before their thoughts are organized. They wander, repeat themselves, or drown their main idea in unnecessary details. To avoid this, pause for a moment before you speak and ask yourself, "What is my main point?" Once you know that, build around it instead of circling it. Confidence also affects how your message is received. If you mumble, speak too softly, or constantly correct yourself, listeners may unconsciously doubt your message, even if your ideas are good. You don't need to be loud or dramatic, but you do need to be steady and audible. A calm, well-paced voice usually has more impact than shouting. Many people mistakenly believe using complex words makes them sound intelligent, but in practice it often confuses the listener. Simple, everyday language is usually the clearest and most powerful, especially when the topic is important. Speaking too fast is another common issue, often driven by nervousness or the fear of being interrupted. When you slow down and include brief pauses between ideas, you give your audience time to absorb what you're saying, and you give yourself time to think. Your tone and body language must support your words as well. If your posture is closed, your gaze avoids others, or your voice is flat, your message loses strength. Standing or sitting upright, making natural eye contact, and using controlled gestures reinforce your meaning. Being direct does not mean being rude. You can be honest and clear without being harsh by choosing respectful phrasing. Rather than dancing around an issue, state it plainly but kindly. In important or sensitive conversations, clarity actually reduces conflict because it leaves less room for misunderstanding. You can also check whether your message landed by asking, "Does that make sense?" or "How do you see it?" Communication is always a two-way process, and inviting feedback helps you refine your skills. Everyday situations, explaining an idea at work, giving directions, or even ordering food are chances to practice being concise and precise. Over time, you become known as someone who speaks with purpose, which increases your influence in every area of life. Knowing what to say is only half of communication. Knowing when to say it is equally important. Poorly timed words can hurt feelings, escalate conflicts, or close doors that might have opened later. Many people respond on autopilot, speaking as soon as they feel something, without pausing to consider the impact. Even a 2-second pause can dramatically improve what comes out of your mouth. Ask yourself, is this helpful right now? Is this the right moment for this message? Some situations call for immediate, clear responses, like emergencies or quick decisions at work. Others benefit from patience. For example, giving criticism when someone is visibly upset or exhausted is likely to be taken as an attack, no matter how carefully you phrase it. Waiting until emotions cool often leads to a more productive conversation. Similarly, encouragement is powerful, but if given before someone has fully expressed their frustration, it can feel dismissive. Adapting your timing means paying attention to emotional signals. Is the other person tense, distracted, open, and relaxed? A friend going through a crisis might need you to simply listen quietly instead of offering advice. A coworker struggling with a task might need clear, step-by-step guidance more than a long lecture. This kind of sensitivity turns good intentions into effective communication. Silence is sometimes the wisest response. Not every situation needs your opinion immediately. Giving people space to vent, think, or feel can be more supportive than rushing in with solutions. On the other hand, avoiding important conversations for too long can allow small misunderstandings to grow into big resentments. Courageous timing means choosing an appropriate moment, not endlessly postponing what needs to be said. Knowing your audience is part of this skill as well. What works with a close friend might be completely inappropriate with a supervisor or client. A joke that lands in one context can offend in another. Adjusting your language and level of directness based on the relationship and setting helps your message land as you intend. When you do need to have a difficult conversation, plan it. Choose a relatively calm environment, decide what you want to say, and be ready to listen. Over time, as you reflect on past conversations, what went well, what backfired, you become better at matching your words to the right moment, and people start to see you as thoughtful, considerate, and emotionally intelligent. Words are only part of your message. Your body communicates constantly, whether you're aware of it or not. Posture, facial expression, eye contact, gestures, and tone of voice all send powerful signals that can reinforce or contradict what you say. Someone who stands tall with relaxed shoulders and open posture is usually perceived as more confident and trustworthy than someone who slouches, crosses their arms tightly, or avoids eye contact. A genuine smile can instantly make people feel more at ease, while a tense jaw or narrowed eyes can suggest irritation or impatience, even if your words are polite. Hand movements can be helpful when they're controlled and purposeful, highlighting key ideas and adding energy to your speech. But restless fidgeting, tapping, or constantly checking your phone tells others you're nervous, bored, or not fully present. Eye contact is one of the strongest nonverbal cues. Consistent but natural eye contact signals attention and sincerity. Staring aggressively or refusing to look someone in the eye can make interactions uncomfortable. Personal space matters too. Standing too close can feel invasive, especially with people you don't know well, while staying too far away can seem cold or distant. Learning to read nonverbal signals in others is just as important as managing your own. People often reveal more through their body language than through their words. If someone is leaning in, nodding, and mirroring your posture, they're likely engaged. If they're leaning back, glancing at the clock, or closing their body with folded arms, they may be uncomfortable or disinterested. These cues can guide how you continue. Perhaps you need to slow down, ask a question, or change the topic. Tone of voice is another major factor. The same sentence can sound caring, sarcastic, angry, or indifferent depending on how you say it. A warm, calm tone invites conversation. A sharp, rushed, or flat tone can shut it down. Ultimately, credibility comes from alignment. When your words and body language say the same thing, people tend to believe you. If they don't match, if you say, "I'm fine," while looking upset, people trust what they see more than what they hear. By becoming more aware of your nonverbal habits and adjusting them intentionally, you can make every interaction clearer, more engaging, and more authentic.
Feeling nervous when you speak, whether in front of a group or one-on-one, is extremely common. The mistake is thinking that you must get rid of all nervousness before you can communicate well. In reality, even skilled speakers feel some anxiety. They've just learned how to manage it so it doesn't control them. The first step is to acknowledge your nerves instead of fighting them. Telling yourself, "I shouldn't be nervous," usually makes you more tense. Instead, think, "It's normal to feel this way, and I can still do this." Deep breathing is a simple but powerful tool. When you're anxious, your breathing becomes shallow and fast, which feeds the feeling of panic. Slow, deep breaths calm your body and give your brain more oxygen, helping you think more clearly. Before an important conversation or presentation, take a minute to inhale slowly through your nose, hold for a few seconds, and exhale steadily. Preparation is another major antidote to fear. You don't need a word-for-word script, but you should know your main points. When you're clear on what you want to say, you worry less about blanking out. Instead of trying to sound perfect, focus on being clear and helpful. Remember the spotlight effect. We imagine that everyone is closely judging us, when in reality, most people are focused on themselves. They're usually not noticing your shaking hands or minor stumbles. Shifting your attention outward toward the person or audience you're trying to help reduces self-consciousness. Practicing in low-pressure situations also builds confidence. Every casual chat, small talk moment, or brief comment in a meeting is a chance to get more comfortable using your voice. You can also practice in front of a mirror or by recording yourself, then gently noticing what works and what you want to improve. Above all, allow yourself to be human. You don't need flawless delivery to make a strong impression. People tend to appreciate authenticity more than perfection. If you stumble over a word, you can smile and keep going. With repeated experience, your fear decreases and your confidence grows. Instead of avoiding situations that require speaking, lean into them as practice opportunities. Over time, you'll realize that nervousness no longer stops you. It simply becomes background noise that you know how to handle. Storytelling is one of the most powerful ways to communicate because stories do what facts alone cannot. They create emotion, pictures, and personal connection. People may forget data and exact wording, but they remember how a story made them feel and the lesson it carried. A strong story doesn't have to be long or dramatic. It simply needs a clear point and a structure that carries the listener along. Most memorable stories follow a basic pattern: a beginning that sets the scene and hooks attention, a middle where something challenging or interesting happens, and an end that brings resolution and highlights the takeaway. Before telling a story, ask yourself, what is the main message I want people to take from this? That keeps you from drowning your audience in unnecessary details. Relatability is crucial. Listeners connect most with stories that reflect experiences or emotions they recognize: struggle, fear, embarrassment, hope, determination, growth. When you share a personal story honestly, including your doubts and mistakes, people see themselves in you and feel less alone.
Being authentic is far more important than sounding impressive. Vivid details make your story come alive. Rather than saying, "I was nervous," you might describe your sweaty hands, racing heart, or the silence in the room. Use sensory language, what you saw, heard, or felt, so the listener can picture the scene. However, too many random details can slow a story down, so choose those that support your main point. Your delivery matters as much as the content. Vary your tone and pace. Speed up during exciting moments, slow down at emotional points, and use brief pauses to let key lines sink in. A touch of humor can relax your audience and make the story more enjoyable, as long as it fits the situation and isn't used to avoid real feelings. Always match your story to your audience and setting. What works with friends might be inappropriate in a professional meeting. Storytelling is a skill that improves with practice, telling, reflecting, and adjusting. Over time, you'll learn which kinds of stories resonate most and how to share them in a way that teaches, inspires, and stays with people long after the conversation ends.
Difficult conversations are unavoidable. Clearing up misunderstandings, giving honest feedback, setting boundaries, or addressing hurt feelings. What often makes these talks so stressful is not just the topic, but the fear of conflict, rejection, or escalation. The key is not to avoid tough conversations, but to learn how to handle them calmly and constructively. Start by grounding yourself before you speak. Take a few deep breaths, remind yourself of your goal, usually to resolve an issue, protect a relationship, or clarify something important, and commit to staying respectful even if emotions rise. Approach the other person with empathy instead of accusation. Try to understand their perspective, not just push your own. Use I statements instead of you statements to reduce defensiveness. "I feel hurt when" is far more productive than "you always." Be clear and direct about the issue, but not cruel or dramatic. Vague hints or passive aggression only create confusion and resentment. Active listening is critical. Don't just wait for your turn to speak. Show that you're truly hearing them through eye contact, nodding, and thoughtful responses. Your body language should be open, not closed or hostile. Respect timing. Don't launch into a heavy topic when the other person is stressed, distracted, or rushed. If a conversation starts to get too heated, it's okay to suggest a short break and return to it with calmer minds. Stay focused on the current issue instead of dragging in every past complaint. Sometimes resolving a conflict means finding a compromise that honors both people's needs. Be willing to meet in the middle when possible. And when you've clearly made a mistake, offer a sincere apology. Acknowledge what you did, express real regret, and, if appropriate, state how you plan to do better. Not every tough conversation will end with a perfect solution right away, and that's okay. What matters is that you showed up honestly, listened respectfully, and kept the door open for understanding and future progress. Over time, each difficult conversation you handle well builds your confidence and strengthens your relationships.
Strong connections aren't the result of luck or personality alone. They're built through consistent, intentional communication. At the foundation of any solid relationship, whether with friends, family, colleagues, or partners, are three things: genuine interest, trust, and respect. Showing real interest starts with how you listen. When someone talks to you, give them your full attention instead of mentally drifting or waiting for your turn to speak. Ask questions that go deeper than small talk. "How has that been for you?" Or, "What are you most focused on right now?" People feel valued when they sense you truly care about their experiences, opinions, and feelings. Empathy is your second tool. Try to see the situation through their eyes instead of judging quickly. This doesn't mean you must agree with everything. It means you recognize their humanity and emotions. Trust grows over time through reliability and honesty. Do what you say you will. Show up on time. Keep private things private. Be truthful even when it's uncomfortable. Consistency makes people feel safe with you. Authenticity is equally important. Pretending to be someone you're not might impress people briefly, but it won't create deep bonds. Be willing to be vulnerable. Share your struggles as well as your successes. Strong relationships also need time and effort. Check in on people, make space for conversations, and be present, not just physically, but mentally. Show appreciation regularly. A simple "thank you," or "I'm proud of you," or "I'm glad we're friends" can strengthen a connection more than you realize. Respect their boundaries, beliefs, and differences, even when you disagree. Conflicts will happen, but how you handle them determines whether the bond weakens or grows. Approach disagreements as problems to solve together, not battles to win. Finally, don't forget the importance of fun and lightness. Shared jokes, laughter, and positive experiences create memories that glue people together. Over time, these habits, empathy, reliability, honesty, respect, support, and positivity, turn casual interactions into deep, lasting relationships that enrich every part of your life. Success is rarely just about talent or hard work. It's deeply connected to how well you communicate. Clear, confident communication helps you get opportunities, build alliances, resolve problems, and inspire others to support your goals. At its core, communicating for success means turning your thoughts into messages that others can easily understand and act on. Clarity creates alignment. When people know exactly what you want, think, or need, they can respond in useful ways. This applies in every area: asking for a raise, pitching an idea, negotiating an agreement, or explaining expectations to a team. But success in communication isn't just about talking, it's equally about listening. Active listening helps you gather information, see problems early, and understand what others care about. The more you listen, the better your decisions become because you're not acting on assumptions alone. Flexible communication is another advantage. You need to adapt your style to your audience. How you speak to a close friend is different from how you speak to a manager, client, or stranger. Adjust your tone, formality, and level of detail according to the situation. Sometimes the most powerful communication is silence, knowing when to pause, when to let others speak, and when not to react impulsively. Confidence plays a huge role. When you speak with calm certainty, people tend to believe you, follow you, or at least seriously consider your ideas. Confidence doesn't mean never feeling afraid. It means speaking despite the fear, backed by preparation and self-respect. Nonverbal communication, your posture, facial expressions, eye contact, can reinforce or sabotage your message. Aligning your body language with your words strengthens your impact. In stressful, high-stakes moments, your ability to stay composed and communicate clearly is often what sets you apart. Strong communicators also know how to inspire. When you share your vision with passion and authenticity, others want to help. They are more willing to support your projects, hire you, promote you, or collaborate with you. Good communication is essential for resolving conflict as well. Staying respectful, seeking solutions instead of blame, and being willing to both give and receive constructive feedback. Fear of judgment often holds people back from speaking up, but growth requires risk. The more you practice expressing yourself, the more you unlock doors in your career, relationships, and personal ambitions. Communication, used wisely, becomes one of the most powerful tools for creating the success and life you want.
Questions are one of the most underrated tools in communication. The quality of the questions you ask determines the depth of the answers you receive, and ultimately the depth of your understanding. Good questions show interest, build connection, and open up new possibilities. Before asking, get clear on your intention. Are you trying to understand someone's feelings, gather information, help solve a problem, or encourage reflection? Intentional questions feel relevant and meaningful, not random or intrusive. Open-ended questions are especially powerful because they invite more than a yes or no. Instead of, "Did you like it?" ask, "What did you like most about it?" Instead of, "Are you okay?" ask, "How are you feeling about everything right now?" These kinds of questions encourage people to share their thoughts, stories, and emotions more fully. But asking is only half the skill. You must also truly listen to the answers. Many people ask a question and then mentally rush ahead, planning the next one or thinking about their own story. When you listen carefully, you can ask thoughtful follow-up questions that show you understood. You said that was difficult for you. What made it so challenging? Curiosity is the engine behind great questions. When you're genuinely curious, you naturally explore deeper. What led you to that decision? How did that change you? This makes conversations richer and more engaging. Timing matters too. A deeply personal question asked too early can feel uncomfortable. Pay attention to context and the other person's comfort level. Respect boundaries. If someone seems hesitant, don't push. Questions are not only for others, they're powerful for self-reflection as well. The questions you ask yourself shape your mindset. "Why does this always happen to me?" keeps you stuck in victim mode. "What can I learn from this?" or "What can I do differently next time?" moves you toward growth and responsibility. In professional and leadership settings, asking questions like, "How do you think we should handle this?" or "What's your perspective?" empowers others, shows you value their input, and often leads to better solutions than you could create alone. Simple questions can be profound. "How can I help?" or "What do you need right now?" often open doors to meaningful support and connection. With practice, asking better questions becomes a habit that transforms your conversations, relationships, decisions, and self-understanding. First impressions are formed quickly, often within seconds, and they can be difficult to change. While you can't control everything about how others see you, you can strongly influence the first signal you send. Much of that signal is nonverbal, the way you walk into a room, hold your body, make eye contact, and express your energy. Standing upright with relaxed shoulders, walking with purpose, and offering a natural, friendly expression immediately communicates confidence and approachability. Your eye contact should be steady but not intense. Avoiding someone's gaze completely can make you appear insecure or disinterested, while staring can feel aggressive. Your tone of voice in those first words matters too. A warm, calm tone combined with a simple greeting like "nice to meet you" sets a positive foundation. Show interest right away by asking something about the other person rather than launching into a speech about yourself. People often leave feeling good about an interaction not because you impressed them, but because you made them feel important and heard. Avoid dominating the conversation or trying too hard to prove your worth with achievements. That often comes across as insecure or self-absorbed. Your appearance is part of the first impression as well, not about being glamorous, but about being clean, neat, and appropriate for the situation. It sends the message that you respect yourself and the occasion. Punctuality is another silent communicator. Arriving late, especially without a good reason, signals unreliability and lack of respect for others' time. Emotional intelligence plays a big role too. Can you read the room, sense if someone is nervous or rushed, and adjust your energy? Matching or gently elevating the emotional tone, calming someone who's anxious, or meeting enthusiasm with enthusiasm helps you connect more quickly. Remember that the first impression doesn't end after the first handshake or hello. A short follow-up message, thank you note, or check-in after meeting someone reinforces that initial positive feeling and shows you value the connection.
In professional settings like interviews or networking events, balancing confidence with humility is crucial. Be ready to speak about your strengths, but also show curiosity, openness, and respect. Ultimately, a great first impression comes from being prepared, present, and genuine. It's only the beginning, but when done well, it opens the door for deeper, ongoing relationships. Information alone rarely moves people. Emotion does. When you speak with emotion, whether it's enthusiasm, concern, empathy, or passion, you turn your words into an experience rather than just sounds. People may forget the exact phrases you used, but they will remember how you made them feel. Communication becomes powerful when it's not just the transfer of facts, but a shared emotional moment. That doesn't mean being dramatic or fake. It means allowing your genuine feelings to color your voice, expressions, and choice of words. If you're excited about an idea, let that excitement show in your tone, energy, and facial expressions. If you're talking about something serious or sensitive, let your voice be calmer and more thoughtful. Authenticity is the foundation. People can usually sense when you're faking it, and that creates distance instead of connection. Emotion also builds empathy. When you speak with understanding about someone's pain, stress, or joy, they feel seen and validated. Saying, "I can imagine how hard that was for you," with real feeling, carries far more weight than a cold, flat, "that must have been hard." Balance is important, though. Too little emotion, and you come across as dull or disconnected. Too much, and you may overwhelm or distract from your message. Skilled communicators know when to raise the emotional intensity and when to pull back. Pauses are powerful tools here. A quiet moment after a key line can let the emotion sink in deeply. Your body language must match your emotional tone. Warm eye contact, open posture, and natural gestures all reinforce sincerity. Being emotionally attuned to others is just as critical as expressing your own feelings. Pay attention to how your listener seems to be reacting. If they look tired or overwhelmed, you may need to soften or simplify. If they're energized and engaged, you can lean more into your passion. Speaking with emotion requires presence. You can't be fully in your head, worrying about how you look or sound. You need to be in the moment, genuinely connected to your message and your listener. When you do that, your words gain a kind of life. They don't just inform, they inspire, comfort, challenge, or encourage, and that's what makes communication truly memorable.
Overthinking is one of the biggest enemies of good communication. You want to say something, but your mind races. What if I sound stupid? What if I'm wrong? What if they judge me? As these thoughts pile up, you freeze and stay silent. The problem is that by trying to be perfect, you end up not communicating at all, missing chances to share ideas, build relationships, and stand up for yourself. The truth is, no one expects your words to be flawless. People aren't looking for perfection, they're looking for honesty, clarity, and presence. Great communicators are not those who never make mistakes, they're the ones who speak anyway, then adjust if needed. To break the cycle of overthinking, shift your focus from yourself to your purpose. Ask, why am I speaking? What do I want to share or achieve? When your attention is on serving the conversation, adding value, asking a real question, or expressing a genuine feeling, you care less about how you're being judged. Accept that small mistakes are normal. You might stumble over a word, forget a phrase, or need to correct yourself. That doesn't ruin your message. Often it makes you more relatable. Instead of over-planning every sentence, aim for a clear main point and a few supporting ideas. Let the exact wording come naturally. Remember that communication is a dialogue, not a performance. You can clarify, rephrase, or ask, "Did that make sense?" if you're unsure. Fear of being misunderstood is real, but staying silent guarantees you won't be understood at all. Practicing in low-pressure environments helps. Share your opinion in casual conversations, ask a question in a small meeting, or contribute one idea in a group discussion.
Each time you do, you're training your brain to see that speaking up is safe and often rewarding. Over time, your confidence grows, and the voice in your head demanding perfection becomes quieter. Your perspective matters. Your experiences, questions, and ideas are unique, and others can benefit from hearing them. When you allow yourself to speak without waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect sentence, you open the door to real connection and growth for yourself and for the people around you. Stressful moments, conflicts, deadlines, crises, high-stakes conversations are where communication skills are tested the most. Under pressure, it's easy to become reactive, say things you don't mean, or shut down entirely. Yet these are precisely the times when clear, calm communication matters most. The first and most powerful step is to pause. Even a brief pause to breathe deeply and gather your thoughts can prevent an emotional outburst or a confused message. Instead of firing back an angry reply or rushing into explanations, take a moment and ask yourself, what is the main point I need to communicate right now? Focusing on the message instead of the swirling emotions helps you stay grounded. Your body language can either calm or inflame the situation. Tense shoulders, clenched fists, eye rolling, or an aggressive posture will likely make others defensive or upset. Consciously soften your posture, relax your face, and keep your tone even. This doesn't mean you hide your feelings, it means you express them in a way that supports resolution rather than chaos. In stressful conversations, prioritize issues instead of trying to solve everything at once. Identify the most urgent or important point and address that first. Active listening is crucial. People under stress often feel unheard or misunderstood. Let the other person finish, acknowledge their feelings, I can see this is really frustrating for you, and then respond. Asking clarifying questions like, just to be sure I understand, are you saying, can prevent misinterpretations that make the situation worse. Avoid blaming language and use I statements to express your experience without attacking. I felt overwhelmed when, instead of, you made me. If tension rises too high, it's okay to suggest a short break. I want this to go well. Can we take 10 minutes and then come back to this? A pause is not running away, it's creating conditions for a better conversation. Over time, as you practice these habits, pausing, breathing, focusing on the core message, managing your body language, actively listening, and speaking respectfully, you become someone who can communicate effectively even under pressure. That ability earns trust, reduces unnecessary conflict, and helps you navigate challenges with much more confidence and control. Improving your communication is not a one-time task. It is a lifelong practice that touches every part of who you are and how you live. The ideas you've explored, choosing words carefully, listening to understand, speaking clearly, using your body language wisely, managing nervousness, telling meaningful stories, handling tough conversations, building strong connections, asking better questions, making a strong first impression, speaking with emotion, overcoming overthinking, and staying calm under stress are all different sides of the same goal, to connect more deeply and effectively with other people. Each conversation you have, no matter how small, is a chance to practice one of these skills. When you choose supportive, clear language, you shape not only how others see you, but also how you see yourself. When you listen fully, you make people feel safe, valued, and understood. When you speak honestly yet respectfully, you build trust. When you manage your fear, pause under pressure, and adjust your timing and tone to the situation, you become someone others rely on in both easy and difficult moments. These changes rarely appear overnight, but small improvements add up. You might start by catching yourself before interrupting, or by slowing your speech in an important meeting, or by asking one thoughtful question instead of staying silent. Over weeks and months, you'll notice that misunderstandings decrease, conflicts become easier to resolve, and your relationships feel deeper and more satisfying. Opportunities may start appearing more often because people see you as clear, reliable, and emotionally intelligent. Most importantly, strong communication gives you the power to express who you really are, your values, ideas, boundaries, and dreams, without hiding behind fear or confusion. The more you practice, the more natural it feels. You do not need to be perfect, you only need to be intentional. With awareness, effort, and patience, you can use communication as a bridge to better relationships, greater success, and a more confident, connected life.